especially if you're smart, and you start letting them know that you would love to handle that business for them, and they would receive referral fees if you do. On page 3 is where we are. Let's look at our internet presence, because 90% of consumers today begin their real estate search online. That's an incredible number, really. And that's why newspapers are going out of business. People aren't looking there anymore. They're going online. So you need a web presence, and you need a website that is consumer friendly. Now, we can't all have our own personal websites right off the bat. That costs money, and it takes some time to put it together. But what we all can do right now, tonight, is start getting some web presence for ourselves. So, let me tell you how you can do that. On page 5, you see that bio there on page 5? You know that you can upload a bio about yourself to Weichert.com, which is the website for the public, and it's free. For example, if you go on to Weichert.com right now, don't do it, but if you did, and you clicked on your state, your area, and you asked maybe for your city, it would bring up a list of offices in your city. Now, maybe you're the only one, so your office comes up. You can then click on your office information and actually find your agents in your office. Is your name on there? Make sure it is. You might be new, make sure your name is on there. But you'll notice that some agents just have their name. Some agents have their name and photograph. Some agents have their name, photograph, and some information about themselves. Which would you rather have? But you've got to do it yourself. You've got to make sure it happens yourself. It doesn't happen automatically. So if you will tonight, fill out page 6, page 7, and page 8. Speak to your broker about how to get then that uploaded to the Weichert.com website, so that when a person goes on, finds your city, finds your office, starts looking at the agent, they find you. And you might say, well, do people really pick an agent that way? I have done so before. When I first started looking in Atlanta at some property, I wanted to look at condos in Atlanta, had no idea who to use. And so I basically went online and just started looking around. I found some companies that indicated that they handled condos, and I started looking at their agents and read about them. And, I found somebody that had a nice smile, and I found someone who I read about them and it sounded good, and I called that person. Wound up looking at condos with them. Yeah, people do. So get the information on there. All right, and now we're on page 9. We're on page 9. Today we want to start creating a client base. A client base is made up of customers from the past, your past, from your present, and from your future. Now, a lot of you don't have any past customers, but a lot of you are working with people now, and you will all have future customers. So that's what a client base is made of, and here's the components of creating it. You start out by building your name recognition and reputation in an area. Now, name recognition. I'll bet you if I said to you, who are the top agents in your area? You could throw out a couple of names. You couldn't throw out a lot, because 20% of the people do 80% of all the real estate business in your area. But you could throw out some. And they're pretty much the same names. You see a lot of the same names on listings out there. Once in a while you'll see a new name you haven't seen before. And then you start seeing that one move up and become more and more prominent. That's what we're talking about. You have to start building your name recognition. reputation. You need to work a sound business plan in order to do that. And that means prospecting every day, holding open houses as often as you possibly can, and then reinvesting some of what you make back into your business. Number 3, in the beginning, you have to thrill every customer you come into contact with. Your very first customer, you got to make sure they're happy. Do everything possible to make them happy, because they're probably going to help get you your second and your third and your fourth. And this is always the way it is in business. Whoever you work with last is probably going to be the one who tells somebody about you next. But if they're telling bad things, then you're not going to get those next customers. Now, it's true that you cannot please every single person all the time. And even if it's totally not your fault, sometimes people get mad at you. You can afford that later. You can't afford that in the beginning. Later, like I had someone who hired me to do an estate sale, and after she hired me and signed my contract, she said, someone told me something very bad about you. And I said, really, what was it? And she told me, and it was bad, and it wasn't true, but it was bad, and it was not true. And I told her, I said, well, that's not true. And I can't not even imagine someone saying that. And then I asked her some questions. I said, would it have happened to have been like an antique dealer or someone like that? She said, yes. And I said, well, antique dealers sometimes come to my sales and want me to sell your things for nothing, and I don't do it. And sometimes they get mad. So that might very well be why that person's saying what they're saying. And I said, well, let me ask you this. This is more important. Why did you hire me if you heard that about me? Because it would have been something that would have scared most people away. And she said, well, because 10 people told me you're great. I said, all right, well, that's smart then. 10 people told you good things, and one person said something that wasn't. She said, yes. So that's what you can afford it after a while, but you can't afford it in the beginning. On page 9, now, having a system for staying in contact with people is going to be critical, because what happens to us in our business is we sell a house, or we have a listing that's sold, we go to closing, we thank them very much. Oh, we usually do some hugs involved, and they tell us how much, what a great job we did, and we say wonderful things like, I'm going to be stopping by and seeing what you do to fix that place up, and we need to have lunch one day, and we say all kinds of wonderful things at closing. And then we get in our car, and then we think, okay, that's done, I made that commission, now where's my next meal coming from? And we move on to the next people, and the next people after that, and the next people after that, and we don't even remember the names of those people whose home we sold. In about 6 months, we've forgotten their name, and guess what? If we're not careful, they're going to forget about us too. According to the National Association of Realtors, communication before, during, and especially after the sale is the biggest problem that real estate agents have, is communication. So we're going to make it easy for you to stay in touch with people after the sale. There's a program called Pro Power. You actually have, in that packet of information that you got, you have a booklet about this, and it's called Pro Power, and it's by a company called the Personal Marketing Company. Why don't you take a second to pull that out of your packet and look at it with me. Pro Power is a client follow-up program that makes sure that your customers are not forgotten over the years by you, and that they always remember your name, and they always know you're still in business, at least for 5 years, because it's a 5-year program. And what they get is what's on your screen and what you're probably looking through right now. They start out by getting the sheet with the pull-off sticky address labels with their new address on it. Then they will get a client satisfaction survey asking them what they thought about the various different aspects of their dealings with you. You get that back so that you can review it and get better where you need to and be happy where you did right, where you did good. Most people don't send it back, but they like the fact that somebody cares enough to ask. Then they'll start getting that little Today's Living magazine twice a year. Notice that everything comes with your face, your information. There's a letter from you on the back of the magazine. So it's all personalized to you. Then in between, they get those jumbo postcards. So what we're talking about is a cheap date. They get 23 mailings over a 5-year period for $25. You can't beat it with a stick. 23 mailings, 5 years, $25. Now, what does this tell people? I'm still in the real estate business. I'm still thinking about you. My name is Tony Reuter. Don't forget it. Tell your friends about me. You know, I did good right by you. I can do right by them. That's what this tells your customer. Now, do I think this is enough? No, I do not think this is enough. I think this is a good step towards staying in touch with people. And for $25, you just can't beat it. But I really believe that you need to do more. If you want a lot of repeat and referral business from people, you need to do more. So I'm going to tell you what I did. If you like it, take it, do it. If you don't, if you come up with something that you like better, absolutely do it. But I wanted to stay in contact with people more often, and I wanted to do it more personally than just a mailing. So I picked up the phone twice a year and called people on the phone. Anybody I've ever done a deal with, either a listing sold or sell a property to. They got a phone call from me. Now, I didn't want to have to try to remember when to call each one and when I called each one last and keep track of all that. So I pushed the easy button and I chose when the clocks get moved up and back, like spring forward and fall back, the time change. That's what I used. And it reminded me, okay, we're Saturday night, we have to move the clocks up an hour. So I need to use this week and call everybody. Now when I called, I wasn't telling them about the time change because I figured they probably knew that. But I did mention it, but I added something to it, and it went like this. Called them on the phone. Hi, this is your realtor, Tony. How are you doing today? Now notice that I said, this is your realtor, Tony. I always want to refer to myself as their realtor because I want them to think of me as such. I want to plant the seed. You did business with me, I am your realtor. And that's the way I'm going to refer to myself. And once they say, well, fine, Tony, how are you? I'm doing just fine. You know, though, I'm calling around today to my customers to let them know, and you probably already know this, that we're to move our clocks up an hour this weekend. But perhaps what you haven't thought about is what I want to remind you of, and that is to change the batteries in your smoke detector. About every 6 months, it needs to be done. Even if you're still working, I would just do it. You don't want to have any problems. And of course, I have heard of people, you know, who went away on vacation and then something happened. And so, you know, let's get that done. And by the way, how are you all enjoying the house? Are you liking it still? Great. And what about your son? Does he still play the piano? Is he still working on that? Oh, he gave it up. Oh, well, you know what? That happens, doesn't it, with young people? What has he picked up now instead? What's he doing now? Great. And John still likes his job? Wonderful. So you guys are doing great. Well, I just wanted to touch base with you and just remind you about those batteries, and you have a great day. Bye-bye. Now, I don't need to say, you know, don't forget I'm in real estate. I could use some business here. She knows that. And she also is going to remember me. In fact, sometimes when I call, she's going to say, you know what, I'm glad you called me. I was just thinking about you the other day. My neighbor is thinking about selling her house. She's in and I was going to tell her about you. Well, would you like to go ahead and give me her name and number, and I'll just give her a call, or I can drop by and talk to her. Would that work? So that's what you're creating with these calls. The other is that obviously in the spring in the fall when we fall back, I'm calling in. So spring and fall gave me something to say. And I went one step further. Because whenever you do one step more than what all the other kids are doing, that's what's going to really set you apart. I want you to always look at what the other kids in real estate are doing. I want you to do more than what they're doing, and you will get more business. And it's not hard because most real estate agents are doing nothing. And that's a fact. Most real estate agents are waiting for business to fall in their lap. They're waiting for leads from Weichert, and that's the majority of their business that they get, or they work on floor duties. Nothing wrong with that, but you need to be drumming up your own leads as well if you want to make a lot of money in real estate. So I called one more time every year. Now this one was harder because I did have to keep track. And when I started this program, I had to do it in a file box. And then it became a shoebox with index cards. And I would have the months of the year, and then I would have people's cards behind those months. In other words, I was creating, I was creating what you can do now on your computer, or even on your PDA, or on your iPhone. You can do it. A reminder to call someone today. But I had to do it where I pulled out every month, and these are the people I need to call, and this is the dates I need to call them. But it was a happy anniversary phone call, and it went like this. Hi, this is your realtor, Tony. I'm calling to wish you guys a happy anniversary. First time I would do this, almost every time, the person would say, oh, Tony, I think you've got the wrong person. It's not our anniversary. And I'd say, yes, it is, Sarah. It is your anniversary. It's your first anniversary in your new home. You realize it was 1 year ago today that we closed on the home? You're kidding. No, I did not know that, but I know you're right. We did buy it. We did buy it in June. Yeah, I guess it is a year. My goodness, time flies. Well, how are you enjoying the home? Still liking it? Great. Good. And everything's going well? Oh, John doesn't like his job. Huh. What is he going to do? So you might be moving back to the area that you came from. This is what happens with these phone calls. So that's why I'm encouraging you to make them. The happy anniversary call became fun and funny because people got it the first year, the second year, the third year, the fourth year, the fifth year, the sixth year, and they got it forever from me. And it got to the point where when I called, they said, wait a minute, now don't tell me. Now I know that it's not time to move the clock up or back. All right, how many years, Tony, have we been in the home? People loved it. So you might want to do something like that. Or knowing how clever you are, you're going to come up with something even better. All right, we're going to look on page 10 at some more ways to promote yourself, but I want to see if you have any questions up until this point.
John from Arizona. Pull the microphone away from your face.
All right, and look on page 10. The cheapest date of all is coming up, and it is business cards. That's the cheapest date of all. What do we have so far? We have career apparel and name badge, right? We have card signs. Third cheap date. These are the things that I want you to go now back to the approved suppliers and make these your first purchases. And your only purchases for some time. I don't want you buying all those bells and whistles and things